The unseen attack. It was a quiet morning on Earth. People were going about their daily lives, unaware that a storm was brewing in the vastness of space. Humanity had grown used to peace. Healers, gifted humans with the ability to cure and mend the sick, were at the center of Earth's most precious asset, their health. They worked in hospitals, healing homes, and on the front lines of battles against disease and injury. These healers were the pride of Earth, and they were revered across the globe. But as the sun rose, everything changed. In the span of a few hours, the world would never be the same again. Far away in the blackness of space, a violent alien force had set its eyes on Earth. The alien race, known for its merciless conquests of peaceful planets, had learned of Earth's healers. These aliens were a brutal species, known to leave nothing but destruction in their wake. They had been tracking Earth for months, watching from the shadows, learning everything they could about humanity's greatest asset. It was only a matter of time before they made their move. That morning, Earth's healers were preparing for another busy day. In hospitals across the world, they were tending to the sick and injured. They had no idea what was about to happen. Without warning, alien ships descended from the sky like thunder, tearing through the atmosphere with blinding speed. The people below could only look up in horror as the ships, thousands strong, cut through the clouds. The sleek, menacing forms of the alien vessels were like nothing humanity had ever seen before, twisted metal and glowing engines that hummed with dangerous power. They were here, and they had come with one goal: to capture Earth's healers. The aliens wasted no time. They stormed the hospitals first, using their advanced technology to break through walls, shattering windows, and overpowering every human in their path. The healers, who had spent their lives dedicated to saving others, were helpless against the vicious assault. The aliens had perfected their tactics, knowing that Earth's greatest strength lay in its healers. They attacked with ruthless precision, taking the healers one by one. There was chaos everywhere. Sirens blared as cities scrambled to respond. Military forces attempted to push back, but they were no match for the overwhelming alien force. The healers had been taken before anyone could do anything. Across the globe, the message spread like wildfire. The aliens were not here for conquest. They were here for the healers. Earth's lifeblood, the very individuals who saved countless lives every day, were now prisoners of war. News networks broadcasted the horror, showing footage of alien ships hovering above cities, their energy shields protecting them from any attack. The world stood in shock, not knowing how to respond. For the first time in history, humanity's best and brightest had been taken without mercy, and there was nothing anyone could do. In every hospital, on every street, and inside every home, the loss was felt. The healers weren't just professionals. They were family members, friends, and loved ones. People began to panic, unable to comprehend what had just happened. How could they fight back against an enemy that had taken the one thing that had kept them alive for centuries? But while the world was consumed by fear and confusion, there was one group that refused to stand idle. A secret faction within Earth's military, the Angels of Death, had been watching the aliens' every move from the beginning. These warriors were unlike any other force in the universe. Specially trained in the art of warfare and advanced tactics, they had one mission: to protect humanity, no matter the cost. The Angels of Death were an elite group, known across the galaxy for their cold efficiency and brutal methods. They had never lost a mission, and they weren't about to start now. When news of the healers' abduction reached them, they immediately began preparing for their most dangerous mission yet. Their goal was clear: to rescue the healers and make sure the aliens knew that Earth was not a planet to be trifled with. As the world mourned, the Angels of Death went into action. In the dead of night, under the cover of darkness, they began their preparations. They were silent, moving like shadows, gathering resources and gathering intel. The aliens may have underestimated Earth's will to fight, but the angels knew the stakes were higher than ever. This wasn't just about war, it was about survival. And as the angels of death made their final preparations, a message was sent across the stars, a message from Earth's last line of defense. "You've made a grave mistake," it said, "and now you will pay the price." The world would soon find out that when humanity was backed into a corner, there was no limit to what it could do. The war had just begun. The planet Earth was in turmoil. News of the alien invasion spread like wildfire, causing widespread panic. But in the shadows, an entirely different response was brewing. The world's governments were struggling to organize a defense, and humanity's hopes seemed to be slipping away. But the most unlikely of heroes was already preparing to take action. In a hidden underground base deep within Earth's mountain ranges, a small, elite group of warriors had already mobilized. The Angels of Death, as they were known, were Earth's last line of defense against extinction. Unlike any other military force, the Angels operated under the radar, with their operations and training shrouded in secrecy. These were not soldiers fighting for glory or recognition. They were merciless specialists, chosen for their unmatched combat skills and unyielding loyalty to Earth. The Angels' leader, Commander Cade, stood at the front of a war room filled with advanced technology and tactical maps. His face was stoic, but his eyes betrayed the storm of fury building inside him. His hands gripped the table as he surveyed the enemy's movements. The aliens had taken their healers, but now they had made a grave mistake. No one, not even the most powerful alien empire, would get away with attacking humanity's most precious. "Listen up," Cade's voice boomed, filling the room with authority. "This isn't just about war. It's about retribution. The healers are family, and they will pay for what they've done. We're not going in just to fight. We're going in to make them remember why Earth is a force to be reckoned with." The room fell silent as the team gathered around, each member staring at their leader with unwavering resolve. These were the deadliest humans in existence, warriors who had seen combat in the harshest corners of the galaxy. Each of them had a personal reason for wanting to destroy the aliens who had attacked Earth. Ilara, a sniper and tech specialist, clenched her fist, her jaw tightening. Her younger sister had been one of the abducted healers. She would not rest until the aliens paid in full. Jace, a former mercenary and explosives expert, had his own vendetta against the aliens. He had once been captured by them in another war, and his scars told the brutal story. Then there was Mara, a silent killer who could get in and out of any enemy territory without leaving a trace. Each member of the Angels had their own painful story, and together they were about to bring hell to the invaders. Commander Cade pressed a button on the table, and a holographic display of the alien fleet appeared above the map. Thousands of ships surrounded Earth, their energy shields a near impenetrable wall of defense. Yet the Angels were not daunted. They had studied the enemy's weaknesses for years. Cade had planned for this day long before the attack ever happened. "We've been waiting for the right moment," Cade said, his voice low but full of certainty. "We know their patterns, their weaknesses, their tactics. They will never see us coming. We'll infiltrate their ships, take down their leaders, and bring our healers back." Ilara, ever the pragmatist, studied the map with a careful eye. "And once we take their ships, we find their base and extract the healers. But we need to move fast. The longer we wait, the more likely they are to kill them." Cade nodded. He understood the stakes all too well. The longer they delayed, the more risk they faced. There was no room for error. This was their one shot. The plan was set. The Angels would infiltrate the alien fleet using their stealth technology and slip in unnoticed. They would plant explosives at key points on the enemy ships, destabilizing their forces and creating chaos. With the alien leadership distracted and in disarray, the Angels would then infiltrate their most secure locations and retrieve the healers. The final step would be a swift, deadly strike on the aliens' command center to ensure they could never harm humanity again. But there was one problem. Time was running out. The aliens had taken Earth's healers, and their capture would be seen as a major prize in the galactic war. If the healers were tortured or killed before the angels could act, it would be a devastating blow to Earth. The tension in the war room grew thick as the weight of the mission settled over every member of the team. "We move now," Cade said, his tone hardening into steel. "This is not just a mission. This is personal. We don't leave anyone behind." The angels boarded their ships, a fleet of cutting-edge stealth fighters that could blend into the blackness of space. As the engines roared to life and the ships ascended into the night sky, every angel knew what was at stake. This wasn't just a battle for Earth. It was a battle for their humanity. The darkness of space surrounded them, but they were ready. They had trained for this moment their entire lives. They had faced the odds before, and they would face them again. As they flew toward the alien fleet, Commander Cade's voice echoed in each of their earpieces. "This is it. We make them regret the day they ever thought they could attack Earth." The countdown had begun. The angels of death were coming for the aliens, and they would never forget the price of crossing humanity. As the angels of death neared the alien fleet, the weight of the task ahead began to sink in. Every moment was critical. The fate of humanity rested on the success of this mission. Earth's healers, kidnapped and taken to a far-flung alien stronghold, were at the mercy of their captors if they hadn't already been killed. Commander Cade sat in the cockpit of his sleek stealth fighter, his eyes fixed on the alien armada ahead. The ships were massive, glistening with alien technology, their shapes sleek and menacing against the dark backdrop of space. The fleet was well organized, their formation tight, but the angels had something the aliens didn't, the element of surprise. "Ilara, you're up first. Your team will plant the explosive charges on the outer perimeter." Cade's voice crackled over the comms. "Jace, Mara, you're on extraction. Once Ilara's team causes chaos, you go in and get the healers." "Understood, Commander," Ilara's calm voice replied. Her team was ready. She glanced at her co-pilot, a fellow sniper named Riley, and nodded. They were in position. The angels had infiltrated the fleet undetected, using stealth technology that bent light around their ships, rendering them invisible to enemy sensors. They had prepared for this moment, and now there was no turning back. Each of them had trained to perfection for years, honing their skills to fight not just against enemies, but against impossible odds. As Ilara's team approached the first of the enemy ships, their target loomed large before them. The alien vessel was heavily armed, and the shields glowed an ominous green, but it was vulnerable in certain areas. Their plan was simple: strike fast, leave confusion in their wake, and disable as many of the aliens' defenses as possible. The team silently dropped out of their stealth mode, their ships now visible but quickly hidden in the debris field surrounding the fleet. They were on the edge of enemy territory, and time was slipping away. Ilara signaled for her team to move into position. The first explosive charge was set. A slight vibration ran through the ship as the device powered up, sending a ripple through the air. The countdown had begun. 5 minutes to detonation, Ilara muttered. She glanced out into the expanse of space, her sharp eyes scanning the skies for any signs of alien ships moving toward them. "Move fast," Cade's voice came through her earpiece. "We don't have much time. Once the alarms go off, all hell is going to break loose." Riley, her partner, silently placed the second charge as Ilara watched. Their mission was to destabilize the outer ships first, drawing the aliens' attention away from the Angels' true target, getting the healers out of the heart of the fleet. Suddenly, the quiet was shattered. "Alarms active. They're onto us," Riley shouted, his voice tense with urgency. The alien ship had detected something. Ilara's heart raced as the countdown continued. They had one shot to make this work. "Detonate," Ilara ordered. The explosion was deafening. The alien ship trembled under the force of the blast, and chaos erupted. The shields flickered and sparked, while the alarms blared across the fleet. A small but significant victory for the Angels. "Target down," Ilara reported, moving to the next one. But as the team advanced, the alien ships weren't just sitting still. The invaders were reacting. Several ships began to shift positions, sending smaller fighters to investigate the explosion. Ilara's heart pounded in her chest. Things were escalating much faster than she had hoped. Meanwhile, Jace and Mara were already in motion. Their stealth ships had slipped through the chaos, making their way to the alien stronghold where the healers were being held. Every second mattered. "Status report, Jace?" Cade asked, his voice tight with concentration. "We're almost there. The healers are being held in a high-security detention area," Jace responded, his voice calm but laced with tension. "We'll need to disable their security systems first before we can extract them." Mara, her face hidden behind her helmet, remained silent, her focus unwavering. The two of them were an unstoppable team, and they were about to face their toughest challenge yet. "Time to move," Cade's voice came over the comms once again. "Ilara, continue with your mission. Jace and Mara, take those healers back home. Everyone stay sharp." As Ilara's team moved on to the next alien vessel, the stakes became clearer. The battle was just beginning. The alien fleet was organized, and their ships were beginning to move in force. They had been hit, but they were far from beaten. In the distance, the heart of the alien fleet loomed. That's where the healers were being held, where the true fight would take place. The closer the angels got, the more perilous their mission became. They were in enemy territory now, and any mistake could spell disaster. "Prepare for the worst," Ilara muttered as she moved her team into position. The angels knew the aliens weren't just fighting for victory, they were fighting to survive. And now, the angels of death had pushed them to the edge. As the countdown on their mission clock ticked down, the reality hit hard. This was not just a rescue mission. It was a fight to show the aliens that no one would mess with Earth without paying the ultimate price. In the cold void of space, the battle for humanity's survival raged on. The angels were ready for anything. But were the aliens? The tension in the air was palpable as Ilara and her team continued their relentless assault on the alien fleet. The initial success of the explosion had given them the upper hand, but now the aliens were regrouping. The once calm expanse of space was alive with activity. Alien ships darting in all directions, forming defensive walls, and sending out attack squads. The battle was escalating quickly, and the angels of death had to keep moving. "We've got incoming," Riley shouted, his eyes glued to the radar. Several alien ships were closing in fast, their weapons primed and ready. The element of surprise was starting to fade. "Stay calm, everyone. Just keep to the plan," Ilara instructed, her voice steady despite the mounting pressure. "Riley, get us out of here and reposition. We'll hit them where they're weakest." Without missing a beat, Riley maneuvered their ship expertly, dodging enemy fire and weaving through the chaos. The alien ships shot at them, but the Angel's stealth technology kept them just out of range. The ships were fast, but not fast enough. While Ilara and her team fought back, Jace and Mara had reached the high-security detention area where the healers were being held. It was an impenetrable fortress of walls and force fields, but they had one advantage: speed. "Jace, disable the security grid." "I'll cover you," Mara said, her voice cutting through the static of the comlink. Jace, ever the technician, worked quickly. His fingers flew across his console, his brow furrowed in concentration. The security system was complex, but they had anticipated this. His eyes flicked to the monitor as the last of the barriers blinked offline. "We're in," Jace said, a small sigh of relief escaping him. "Mara, let's go." The two moved swiftly through the reinforced doors. The healers were confined in a small, dimly lit room, weak but still alive. The aliens had tortured them for days, trying to extract information on Earth's defense systems, but the healers had held strong. They were more than just people. They were the heartbeat of humanity's last defense. And now, they were about to be saved. Mara's eyes narrowed as she saw them, but her focus didn't falter. She moved to the first healer, a young woman barely conscious, and quickly lifted her up. "Don't worry," Mara whispered. "We're taking you home." The healers were fragile, their bodies battered from the alien torment, but they were alive, and that was all that mattered. The mission was far from over, but this was a victory they couldn't afford to overlook. As Jace helped another healer to her feet, the sound of distant alien ships grew louder. Their position had been compromised. "We need to move now," Jace said urgently. "The aliens will be here any minute." Mara nodded, leading the healers down the narrow corridors toward their escape route. They had a long way to go, and every second counted. The mission's success hinged on getting the healers to safety, and they couldn't afford to lose them now. Back outside, Ilara and Riley's ship narrowly avoided being struck by a barrage of alien plasma blasts. The Angels had successfully neutralized one of the ships, but now they were running out of time. The alien fleet was closing in from all sides. "We've done enough damage. It's time to pull back," Ilara said, her voice full of urgency. "Head toward the rendezvous point now." Riley nodded, pushing their ship into high gear. The stars blurred into streaks as they broke through the alien defenses, but it wasn't over. The aliens weren't letting them go that easily. Their ships regrouped and pursued, desperate to prevent their escape. "Hold on, this is going to be tight," Riley shouted as their ship rocketed through a minefield of enemy vessels. Ilara kept her cool, trusting Riley's instincts as they maneuvered their way past dozens of enemies. The sounds of the battle reverberated through the ship's hull as alien fighters unleashed wave after wave of attacks. Their shots missed by mere inches, and Ilara could feel the heat of each blast as it grazed their shields. They couldn't outrun them forever. Meanwhile, Jace and Mara had just made it to the outer hangar bay, the healers in tow. They could see the glow of their extraction ships in the distance, but the alien fighters were closing in. They had no time to wait. "Ilara, we're almost at the hangar. We need a diversion," Jace called over the comms. Ilara's heart raced. "Understood. We'll make sure you get out of here." She signaled Riley to initiate their final phase of the mission. Their ship shot toward a nearby asteroid field, where they would make their stand. The alien fleet, now in hot pursuit, followed them into the deadly terrain. This was it. This was the moment they had been waiting for. "Prepare for the worst," Ilara muttered as she tightened her grip on the controls. They needed to buy time for Jace and Mara to escape. The asteroid field would be their final test. Either they'd make it through, or they wouldn't. In the distance, the powerful glow of the enemy fleet's weapons began to light up the dark expanse of space. The Angels were locked in a life-or-death struggle. They had fought hard to get this far, but would they be able to finish what they started? The next few minutes would determine everything. The asteroid field loomed ahead like a vast, deadly maze. Ilara's heart pounded in her chest as she locked eyes with Riley. They knew what had to be done. The enemy was closing in, and their only hope was to use the terrain to their advantage. The asteroid field would either be their salvation or their tomb. "Riley, we need to make it out alive. Do whatever you have to, but don't get us killed," Ilara barked, her voice cold with urgency. Riley grinned despite the situation. "No promises, but I'm good at making miracles happen." The ship jolted as Riley expertly veered their vessel into the asteroid field. The jagged rocks and tumbling boulders created a chaotic labyrinth, their sharp edges flashing past in blinding speed. The alien fleet, relentless in their pursuit, followed closely behind, but their ships lacked the precision and agility of Earth's craft. They struggled to match the Angels' skill as they weaved through the debris. Ilara gritted her teeth. Each movement, each turn, was a race against time. A single miscalculation could send them crashing into one of the massive rocks, ending their mission and their lives in an instant. Meanwhile, at the hangar bay, Jace and Mara were almost at the finish line. The last of the healers had been safely loaded onto their transport ship, and they were nearly clear of the alien threat. But the sound of enemy ships growing louder made it clear that they wouldn't be able to make a clean getaway. "We're out of time," Mara shouted, slamming the door shut behind the last healer. "Jace, we need cover." Jace was already at the comms. His fingers moved swiftly, his mind calculating the odds. "Ilara, Mara's team is ready for extraction, but the enemy is closing in on us. We need a distraction, and we need it now." Ilara's voice crackled through the comm. "Hold on tight. We're about to give them one hell of a show." Riley's hands moved like lightning, pushing the ship to the limit. They were dangerously close to the enemy ships now, but that was exactly what Ilara wanted. She pushed the throttle forward, the ship surging forward into the heart of the asteroid field. With a rapid course correction, she aimed the ship straight toward the largest asteroid, preparing for the ultimate move. "Riley, when I give the word, hit the afterburners and make the sharpest turn you've ever done," she ordered. "We're going to hit them hard, then use the debris to make our escape." "Got it. But I'll be honest, Ilara, I'm pretty sure they're gonna hate this move," Riley replied, a grin on his face. The seconds felt like hours as they flew toward the massive asteroid. The alien ships were only a few meters behind, unaware of the trap they were walking into. Their weapons locked and loaded, they thought they had the Angels cornered. But just as they were about to fire, Ilara shouted, "Now, Riley, go." Riley slammed the throttle forward, sending the ship rocketing toward the asteroid. At the last moment, just as the ship seemed on the brink of colliding with the rock, he executed a perfect hard left. The ship's engine screamed, but it made the sharp turn just in time, sending them skimming the edge of the asteroid. The enemy fleet wasn't prepared for the sudden change of direction. Several alien ships, too slow to react, collided with the asteroid or one another, sending sparks and debris flying. The Angel ship swerved through the chaos, narrowly avoiding the wreckage. But the mission wasn't over yet. The remaining alien ships quickly recovered, now angrier and more determined than ever. They surrounded Ilara's ship, their weapons aimed and ready to finish what they started. "Brace for impact," Riley shouted as enemy fire lit up the space around them. The Angel ship shuddered under the barrage of attacks, but it held together. However, their shields were weakening, and their escape routes were quickly closing. Meanwhile, Mara and Jace were still fighting their own battle. The transport ship was a sitting duck in the midst of a battle zone. The enemy ships had already started firing at them, and the blast rocked the vessel. "Jace, we can't take much more of this," Mara yelled as she looked out the viewports, seeing the laser fire streaking toward them. "I know. Ilara, we need that distraction now, or we're done." Jace's voice was strained. Ilara's eyes narrowed as she surveyed the situation. There was no time to wait. She locked her targeting system onto the closest alien ship. It was now or never. She pulled the trigger. A massive explosion erupted as a missile shot from the ship, streaking through space toward the enemy fleet. It hit its target with pinpoint accuracy, sending shockwaves through the alien ranks. The explosion ripped through their formation, scattering their ships and causing chaos among their lines. But it wasn't enough. "We need one more push, Riley. Get us to the rendezvous point now," Ilara shouted, her voice a mix of determination and desperation. Full power. Riley didn't need another command. He slammed the control panel forward, sending their ship careening toward the opening in the enemy fleet's line. The alien ships quickly regrouped, but their disarray had given the Angels just enough time to break through. At that exact moment, Jace's voice crackled through the comms. "Ilara, we're clear. Get us out of here." Ilara's heart raced with relief. "Hold on tight. We're making our exit." The Angel ship shot forward, weaving through the chaos of battle, with the alien ships hot on their tail. The asteroid field was behind them, but they were still in enemy territory. The worst wasn't over yet, but they were on their way to the rendezvous point, where safety waited. The final moments of the battle were nothing short of a miracle, but the fight was far from finished. The enemy would regroup, and the angels knew this victory would be short-lived. But for now, they had won. And the message they had sent to the galaxy was clear. Earth was not to be underestimated. The dust of battle still hung in the black void of space, and yet the enemy was not finished. Hilara's heart pounded as she stared at the scattered remains of the alien fleet, now disorganized and chaotic. But even in their fractured state, the enemy was relentless. The surviving ships regrouped, their energy shields flickering back to life, their weapons primed for revenge. "They're coming back," Riley said, his voice steady but laced with urgency. "They're angry, and they've got nothing left to lose." Ilara gripped the controls, her knuckles white. "Then we'll give them a fight they'll never forget. But we need to buy enough time for Jace and Mara to get clear." The enemy fleet closed in on them again, now in full pursuit. Their ships were massive, much larger than anything the angels had faced so far. Ilara knew that if they tried to run, they wouldn't make it. The alien ships were faster and more heavily armed. They had to face them head-on. "Brace yourself, Riley," she said, her voice grim but resolute. "We're going to make them regret ever coming to Earth." The stars outside the viewport seemed to blur as Riley engaged the afterburners. Their ship lurched forward, pushing every system to its limit. The alien ships weren't far behind, their weapons firing relentlessly, lighting up the darkness with violent bursts of energy. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers," Ilara ordered. "We can't let them get a clean shot." But the alien ships were too precise, too well organized. One of their larger ships fired a powerful blast, and the Angel's ship rocked violently. Sparks flew from the control panel, and the lights flickered. "Shields at 50%. Riley yelled, his eyes wide with concern. "We can't take much more of this. Riley, keep us moving. Don't stop." Ilara's voice was like steel. She wasn't about to let them fall now. "We've got one shot at this." The moment of truth arrived when they passed dangerously close to an asteroid field, a collection of debris from previous battles long forgotten. It was their only chance to outmaneuver the enemy. Ilara's eyes darted over the controls, calculating their escape route. "Now," she commanded. Riley slammed the controls forward. The ship careened into the asteroid field, its speed increasing, the chaotic dance of rocks and boulders providing a deadly backdrop. The alien fleet followed, their ships scraping against the asteroids, their larger forms struggling to navigate through the debris. But Ilara knew the field was their only chance. The asteroids could shield them, but only if they moved quickly and precisely. Her hands flew across the console, rerouting power to the ship's engines, pushing the ship beyond its limits. "We're going to make it," she muttered to herself, but the doubt crept in. The ship was already battered, and their energy reserves were dangerously low. If they couldn't escape the asteroid field soon, they'd be easy targets for the alien ships once more. Suddenly, Riley's voice broke through her thoughts. "There's a hole ahead, a gap in the field. If we go through there, we'll have a clear shot at the edge of the system." Ilara's eyes flicked to the sensor readouts. The hole in the asteroid field was their only hope, but it was narrow, and there was no room for error. The alien ships were gaining on them, closing the gap with every passing second. If they missed it, "There's no time to hesitate," Ilara said, her voice steely with determination. "Full power ahead. We're going through." Riley gritted his teeth. "You got it." With a roar of the engines, the ship rocketed toward the narrow gap. The asteroid debris seemed to be closing in from all sides, threatening to crush them. Riley's hands flew over the controls, keeping the ship steady as Ilara aimed them toward the gap. The ship barely fit. The hull scraped against a sharp rock, sparks flying as the shields held just long enough to protect them. But the alien fleet wasn't so lucky. Their ships were too large to follow in the same tight formation, and one of the ships collided with a massive asteroid, exploding in a flash of blinding light. Another ship took a glancing blow, its shields failing as the debris tore into it. The explosion was magnificent, bright enough to light up the entire sector. "We're through," Riley yelled, his voice full of relief. But Ilara knew they weren't out of danger yet. There was still the matter of the remaining alien ships, now scattered and confused. They had to move quickly, or the enemy would regroup and return with a vengeance. "Ilara," Jace's voice crackled over the comms. "We're at the rendezvous point. We've got your back." Ilara's heart skipped a beat. Jace and Mara had made it to safety, but she couldn't stop now. The alien fleet would recover quickly, and she needed to get everyone out before they returned for another strike. "We're coming in hot," Ilara shouted. "Riley, make sure we don't give them another chance to fire." They were almost there, the edge of the system, the outer ring where they would be safe. But as they neared the coordinates, something changed. The alien fleet, though scattered, wasn't finished. They regrouped at the edge of the asteroid field, their massive ships converging on the Angel's location. The battle was far from over. Ilara's mind raced. The odds were against them, but she couldn't give up. Earth had already shown its power. Now, they had to prove that they weren't done yet. "Get ready," she said, her voice calm but filled with quiet fury. "We're going to make sure they never come back." The rendezvous point was within reach, but the alien fleet was closing in fast. Ilara's pulse raced as she watched the ships of the enemy converge on their position. Every maneuver, every second counted. The Angels had come a long way, but this final battle would decide everything. They had no choice now. This was the moment that would either secure Earth's future or seal its doom. "We're almost there," Riley said, his voice trained but steady. His eyes never left the displays in front of him, tracking the alien ships that were still in pursuit. "But they won't stop. They're too close." Ilara's grip tightened on the controls. "We need to fight. If we run now, they'll catch us, and we'll never make it out alive. We'll fight until the last ship is destroyed." The comms crackled to life, and Jace's voice came through, cool and calm. "We're in position. You'll have cover. But don't wait too long. They're regrouping for a final push." Ilara nodded. "Understood. Hold tight. We'll be there soon." Riley accelerated, pushing the ship's engines to their limits. They had to break through the alien fleet to reach Jace and Mara. It was a risky move, but the enemy had no idea the Angels still had one final trick up their sleeves. Their escape depended on this last gambit. Suddenly, a hail of energy blasts exploded around them, shaking the ship violently. Ilara gritted her teeth as she expertly dodged the incoming fire. She could hear the warning sirens blaring in the background, the hull groaning as it took hit after hit. The ship's shields were nearly gone. "We need to get through," Riley yelled, desperation creeping into his voice. "They're on us now." But Ilara remained focused. "Keep us steady. They won't win this fight." With a defiant roar, Ilara slammed the ship forward, heading straight toward the heart of the enemy fleet. Riley's hands moved in a blur, guiding the ship between explosions, narrowly avoiding enemy fire. The alien ships weren't far behind, their weapons blazing as they attempted to target the Angels. Just when it seemed like the enemy would land a fatal blow, Ilara made a sharp turn, veering the ship through a gap between two massive alien cruisers. The aliens fired in a desperate attempt to stop them, but their shots went wide. The Angel's ship shot forward, propelled by its remaining energy reserves. "Ilara, we've got a clear shot," Riley shouted. "Now's our chance." "Take it," Ilara commanded. Riley fired the ship's main weapon. The energy blast tore through the alien ships in its path, hitting one of the enemy's largest vessels. The explosion was deafening, sending shockwaves through the surrounding space. Several smaller ships broke off from the main fleet, disoriented by the sudden destruction. The battle raged on, but the Angels' counterattack had given them a crucial opening. As the alien ships began to scatter, trying to regroup, the Angels made their move, pushing forward with everything they had left. Finally, After what felt like an eternity, they broke through the final line of enemy ships. The calm of space greeted them, a brief respite from the chaos they had just endured. Ilara exhaled sharply, her hands shaking as she let go of the controls. "We did it," Riley whispered in awe. But Ilara knew better. The battle wasn't over. Not yet. "They'll be back," she said, her voice low but filled with determination. "This is just the beginning." The transmission link buzzed, and Jace's voice came through. "You made it. We'll pick you up. Earth's fleet is securing the perimeter now." Ilara closed her eyes for a moment, the weight of everything they'd just fought for settling on her shoulders. Earth was safe, for now. But they had proven a point. They had shown the alien invaders that Earth would not be an easy target. Not ever again. As the Angel's ship moved toward the rendezvous point, Ilara turned her thoughts to the future. The war was far from over, but today they had taken the first step in ensuring humanity's survival. They had sent a message. Earth would never be conquered again. The final battle ends in a bittersweet victory, and while the Angels have survived, the reality is clear. Earth is now a target for the galaxy's most dangerous species. But Ilara and her team are ready. They've proven their strength, and they will continue to defend their home with everything they have.